Lego My Jameso.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel Lego My Jameso. I'm super excited to continue this series on how to start your own Bricklink store. Seems to be a popular demand, or a thing that people really want to know about, is how do you store your Lego parts, sets, and figures for your Bricklink store? You know, what inventory system do you use? I'm going to show you all the tips and tricks I've learned over the years. I'm going to show you how I do my inventory now, tell you some, details and important things that will help you down the line, and kind of show you or tell you what you can do for having a store literally from one box that you put under your bed or in your room, from having, one shelf in your room, or having a whole room like this dedicated to your Lego sales. So if you're enjoying the content, please subscribe, like the video if it helps you, and always come back for more. I'm going to be posting videos at least once a week on every Friday, and I'm going to do as much as I can to show you everything about Bricklink. If you feel as though I missed something, or if you have a question, leave a comment. I'll definitely get back to you, or I'll even make a video on it. So I'm going to get into my inventory now, and yeah, we'll go from there. Welcome to the Lego room. Yes. All right, so first things first, your remarks on Bricklink is huge. Remarks, as I showed in the video prior on listing parts, sets, and figures, is how you document or label where the item is. So you can put anything in there. You can just put a note. For example, these boxes I have listed up here, the note on there it just states on the shelf above carts. And I know that's there. I didn't label it as like, oh, that's shelf Z75. That'd be pretty cool, but it's just one shelf, and that's where a couple items are, so they're just miscellaneous. But other items I have listed where it's like, okay, bin A, B, C, D, E, F, and so forth. And then I even have some things labeled as Z, even though I don't have all the letters in between. I'll get into that. But here is a photo that I have kind of laid out for you how Bricklink works for their remarks. So here's this. All right, so pretty much what works, or how they do things, their inventory remarks is based on, it first comes up as numbers. So if I had numbers 0, 1, 0, 2, and so forth, those will show up before any letters. So then it would be numbers, then letters. So like A01, then B05, whatever, and all the way through there. And then there's also ways, as you can see there, to label bins in between letters. So, for example, when I listed my stickers here, let's just pull this out of here and slide it that way. When I listed my decal parts, I have bin J here, and I wanted these to be on the same shelf as J, but they come before K. So I figured, how do you label that? So doing JJ is a way to do like double lettering, allows you to go to the next bin. And so you could do that for many letters, but I just did it for the two. Instead of this being J18 and J19, I wanted this new bin system here to be labeled starting with bin number 1. So I'll get into that. But again, here's that remarks page one more time. This is kind of a layout of how they work. So feel free to screenshot it, but these will help you. Another thing on Bricklink, I will show you how to pull orders in coming weeks here. I'll show you tips and tricks on that, how to be efficient with things. But there is a way to make your page, when somebody places an order, you can modify it so that things come up based on remarks. Just like when you create a wanted list, you can make things come up by, color, part, item number. You can just default it by remarks. So what that means is, even if I have the same 2x4 brick, but in 2 different colors, and one's in bin A and one's in B, or like bin N over here, like a couple carts over, the cool thing is that this one will show up here, and then the other one will show up when I get to that section. So that way you pull orders from one side of your room to the next. And that's when you have a larger store. So there are many methods for actually storing your items. You can simply go out of a box, a couple of spare bins you have, even Tupperware, bags. You could take one box that's just a shipping box you got from an order on Amazon or something, and you could just take, sandwich bags of part types and put them in there and list those, and that's your method of organization. So depending on how large you grow your store depends on what inventory you need and depends on the bins. For this, I love these, and they're, this card system, I will show a whole video on how you can make one for yourself. But these work really well for me. So again, I showed this in my pilot episode, but these all roll out and I can pull on orders from either side here. I don't have a good camera angle for this side, but I can turn these so that I can pull from here, and then when I'm done on this side, I can go over to this side here, pull, and then we'll get to this cart. So I'll pull this one out because I think that'll be the best angle for the camera here. So this comes all the way out, and this is the cool thing, is that it just completely rotates. Ta-da! And maybe a little close here. Okay, so these I find are the most efficient, because when you're pulling parts, you're simply going over to the bin and you say, okay, it's an N5. I open this, I say, okay, here's the part I want. It's in these. I open this bag, I take however many I want. So it's very quick. Then you could have things like these that are similar to, you know, tackle boxes or bead boxes. They're from craft stores. And you could get ones with adjustable pieces in here, so you could line up where they go, or you could get ones that have the, you know, slots already made, depending on what you like and what works best. I find that adjustable, like adjustable compartments works really well for parts, where the actual fitted, like the ones that are standard, like these bead boxes, these ones, how they're already clearly there, those work great for figures. I'm out of the frame here. I'll show this in a moment. So, all right, these, when I talk about efficiency, so things work the fastest when you're pulling from drawers here and putting it into a bag for your order. These work well, but it's a little less efficient because now I'm pulling this out. I need to set it down on something, or I can just hold it. I need to then open this, open it, and then pull, you know, whatever parts I want, and then put them in the bag. So it's a little more, slightly more involved. It doesn't, you might think, oh, well, that's only like a second or two. Yes, that's true. But when you have multiple orders and orders with hundreds of parts, things, you know, time adds up quickly. But for the level we're running our stores, you know, if you're not a huge, massive store, then this is probably fine. And then it's always good to have different types of bins. So whatever bins you decide to buy, it's great to have, you know, small compartments up to large compartments, or even like your own bins, or the size of like a shoebox bin. So you have ones like these that have, this is empty. Why did I pull an empty one out for the intro video? Jeez, let's get a full one that has more parts. These work great. So they're small compartments. You can put specialty pieces in here, and then I just slide these onto the shelf right here. You know, I always use the method of something like books on a shelf, where they slide in, you can pull them out, just like how the cart system works. It saves space, a little more time consuming when pulling, but it works really well. And then you just have to make sure your numbering and lettering works correctly. With remarks, always, always, always add zeros in front of single digit numbers. You know, my bins only go up to, let's say, the number 60 or 70. So it's not in triple digits, but since it's double digits, whenever I have 1, 2, 3, or 4 single digit numbers like that, I added a 0 in front of it, and that's so it organizes properly. So bin 1 is really bin 01, and bin 2 is bin 02, because if it's not, bin 2 will actually show up after bin like 19, and because it will think it's like you're starting with a place marker of 2. So it's a little weird there, but again, that sheet I showed earlier kind of lays that out, and you'll figure this out as you go. But always adding zeros in front of those numbers helps, and then that way you can keep the flow of pulling your orders just like your inventory is organized. So small bins are great, and then you have this next method here, like our next step up is a larger bin. But then a cool thing is I use these containers. So I'm gonna push this back and kind of step back here so I can get a better angle. Oh no! Caution. I pushed a bin too far over and it got stuck. No. There we go. La 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 la. Yeah. Okay. So these, I'm a little crazy. So these are 2.5 quart containers by Sterilite, and I don't know, that should be how you say it. But they're great. They have locking lids here. There's that if you want to kind of see it's backwards. But, you know, you get it. These are great for when you have a lot of parts, you know, a massive quantity of one type of part, or something like these are stud pieces, or 1x1 round plates, however you say them. So I have a bunch of these in all different colors, and I wanted to keep them all together. So I put them all in this bin, That way, if somebody's ordering from me and they're ordering, okay, a couple pink, a couple purple, blue, red, lime, whatever, then I just go to this one bin and I'll pull all those at once and then mark those all off on the order form. It works really well, but then again, like I mentioned, the efficiency, you know, if they ordered lime and they only ordered 2 of them, now I need to pull this, I need to set it down, I need to then search for, okay, so here's lime. I would then open the bag, pull the pieces out, and pack the order, and then put this back. So it's a little more time consuming than simply, okay, I open this and hey, it's in drawer 4. He ordered 2 of these, put it in the bag and you're done. Again, a little more time consuming, but it's great for having a larger inventory in a smaller amount of space, so to say. So those are great methods there that I use. Again, you could use drawers, bins, any sort of compartment container. A new method I started doing was this. So these are tackle boxes. These tackle boxes, I purchased that they were sized to fit a banker box. I didn't order custom ones. I searched a while online and finally found ones that I liked, that were at a price I wanted, that were adjustable, and that I could fit 6 in here and you know, maximize my space. So these are nice because I'll pull this out and say, okay, here are all these compartments, and I numbered them this way for once, instead of putting the tag right on top. That way I can just see in there and see, okay, yes, there's that part. Because sometimes when you put the tag on top of like right on top like that, you know, it's not as bad for the figures, but sometimes it gets in the way when you're looking at other parts. Or like the red bins I have here, like these ones, when you have a sticker on top of these, that's dark in there, so it's kind of very hard to see that then. All right, so this, for example, here's how I would list this. So this is a new thing I started trying. So this, I use an index card, I put it on there, and that way I can just rip this off and put a new one on. I'm not writing on my box every time. Keeps it clean, relatively organized. This is a new method I'm trying, so I went with the letter Z. That way it's at the end of everything. I don't have anything listed after this based on my remarks. So this is box Z01. Over here is where I have the other Z boxes, and again with those, you know, tackle boxes. But if I wanted a part that, let's say I will show you on Bricklink right now. We are going to look for, okay, we're going to look for this lift arm in my store. Okay, so it would be the remark, here's the part, and here's the remark. It's Z01-01-12. And that, all that means is that's how I chose to do that method of organization. I could have labeled that as Z01, Z01.01.12, you know, however you want to do that. But all I know is that, hey, it's in box Z01. I grab the box, I pull it over here. I pull out, I say, oh, hey, it's compartment bin 01. So there's one. I always just write 1 here, but on your remarks, you should always put that 01, again, to keep that correct place marker. So then I open this and I say, oh, hey, it's in 12, and there it is. So this works amazing for, hey, I can transport this quickly. Let's say I'm moving in a little bit, which I will be eventually, to a new place. Time will tell. You know, those boxes then can be quickly moved. Things don't get destroyed in shipping, because it's like if you're moving this around, everything's in there. It's not going to fall out. Where with these, when you have to move these, you either have to wrap each individual bin or be very careful carrying it because they're open on the top. So it works well, but again, not as efficient, because when you're pulling an order, if they ordered that, let's, for example, just say, hey, I have that same part and it's listed in G10. I come over here, I roll this out, I go to G10, I say, hey, here's the bin. I grab the part, put it in the bag. That was quick. Versus using this box, I say, okay, it's in Z01-01-12. I grab the box, put it over here, 01, open it, and then we do this. We grab it, close it, put it in the bag. So again, it doesn't sound as bad, but when you're pulling lots of parts, lots of orders, it does take a little bit more time. But for a means of storing things with a small amount of space, these are great. I love the banker boxes, love these little tackle boxes or bead, like craft organization cases. They work well. You can store a lot in them, and you could just put this box on the floor, under your bed, out of the way, on a shelf, wherever, and you don't need to buy metal shelves then, or any shelf for that matter. if you do have the space, I recommend at least getting one shelf, because you could do a lot with one shelf. You can, I mean, as you see here, I have just boxes on these ones, and but you can put so much. You can change these up, and I could have put some of these on there. You know, with the layout I have, with the shelves I have, I'm allowed to do it this way. But if you truthfully only had one shelf, you could put a couple of these on there. You could put multiple banker boxes. You could put sealed sets that you might be listing, or whatever. So having one shelf dedicated to your store and inventory is perfect, because it at least is organized for you. But if you don't have a whole lot, start with a box and go from there. You can always build your store as you go. I know a lot of these expenses up front might be a bit of money. Those metal shelves, I think, were like $90 a piece. You can get these smaller ones on Amazon or other websites. Like, honestly, a lot of online retailers have these. And Walmart and other stores like Target have these as well. They might vary depending on size, but I love the metal shelves because they're adjustable, and you could, you know, organize it based on what you're putting on it. So they work well. And these, I think, were like 40 or 50 a piece at the time. I'm not sure what they're going for now, because I haven't bought them since. But again, a shelf works great. Boxes work great. Here's that remarks page one last time. So again, this is just a layout of how the remarks work on Bricklink. Add your zeros before single digit numbers. If you're going to go all the way up to, you know, 3 digits or 4 digits, you know, such as 100 or 1,000, then add the correct amount of zeros in front of that to account for that. That way you're not having any errors with inventory when your orders come in. But pretty much that's how I do inventory. I'll definitely do a lot more videos, even, you know, pulling orders and showing, listing things and explaining other methods. But you can do your inventory however you want. Remarks is the most important thing of keeping things organized and keeping your flow in your store. But you can literally have inventory in one single box. You could use one shelf, 3 shelves, or 5 shelves, whatever the size your inventory is. And use the lettering numbering system is amazing, where this is A, this is D right here, G, J. These are great because it keeps it as its own like entity, so to say. And when I'm pulling from A, I know everything in A is right here. Everything in B is right here. And it works well versus doing bins like 1 through however many you have, you know, thousands of bins. That gets complex. Adding the letters makes things more organized, and you can quickly say, oh, I know A is here. Where if I had these labeled just as numbers 1 to 2,000, I'd be like, oh, okay, where's bin 538? Is that going to be here? Is that here? You know, so the letters were great. You could just quickly see it, go to it. But yeah, the video is getting a bit lengthy. That's essentially how you do inventory, though. Remarks is very important. Any bins you want that work, just keep them well organized. And, you know, I'll show you some tips and tricks in a bit on how to organize inventory. One last thing, when you are doing bins, so I showed how you can put multiple colors of one part in bins. You could also I could do like 3 types of parts in these bins. I've done that here, where I have, you know, I probably have at least 4 to 5 different parts in here. So, okay, I look at my list, I pull this out, and I know which bag I'm going for. But when you do that, again, it saves space. I already talked about I keep mentioning efficiency, but it saves space. The only thing you really need to be cautious of is when you're pulling, you need to know exactly what piece you're pulling, because the last thing you want to do is send somebody the wrong piece. And if you start listing used parts and you're sorting things, I always list light gray and light bluish gray, likewise like brown and reddish brown, dark gray and dark bluish gray in 2 separate bins. So even here, when I'd have all these stud pieces in this, I would only put light bluish gray in here, and then I would give light gray and those older colored parts their own bin. That's because when you're pulling orders, you might not see that slight color variation. Sometimes it's very hard to tell the color difference with the emblem on the page, but it's also, if you just read that incorrectly, you could put the wrong piece in there and then your buyers are unhappy. So separate things like that makes orders easier, and it prevents errors on your end. Again, I'll show you how to pull orders soon. I'll keep showing things with the room, and we'll just go through a bunch of things on Bricklink. But for now, that's how you mainly start. You get your inventory started. You can do it with, any size store you have. So I hope this was helpful. If it was, please like the video and subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks again for checking out this video, and thanks for stopping by to see the channel. I really appreciate all viewership and the positive feedback. So thank you. Have a great weekend, and we'll get back to next week on more things to get you running with your Bricklink store. So